All right, what about game 3? Saturday night in Raleigh, 4-1 Syracuse at 3-3 NC State. 8 o'clock kick, ACC Network, Orange, a 4-point favorite at Carter Finley.
Yeah, the starting point for this one is also simple to me. The Wolfpack's defense, which, remember, did spearhead that recent victory over Northern Illinois, but was not good enough against Wake Forest last week, and, of course, was absolutely devastated by both Tennessee and Clemson earlier this season. That Pack defense must figure out a way to make the Syracuse quarterback I mentioned earlier, Kyle McCord, very uncomfortable, maybe with the help of the fans, at Carter Finley Stadium. That means sacks, obviously, but also batted down passes at the line of scrimmage, quarterback hurries, and all the rest of the chaos factor. An Ohio State transfer who was 12-1 as the Buckeyes starting quarterback. That usually means you're allowed to stay. McCord has been absolutely tearing it up for the Orange. He plays with a lot of swagger and confidence. And right now, he's actually neck and neck with Miami's quarterback, Cam Ward. Yes, the Heisman Trophy candidate, Cam Ward, as the ACC's leading passer. McCord has 17 touchdown passes and 363 passing yards per game. That's right alongside Cam Ward of the Hurricanes. McCord has excellent skill players around him in the tight end, Aronde Gadsden II, and his wide receivers, Trevor Pena and Jackson Meeks. Meeks is actually a Georgia Bulldogs transfer who did not play much for that national championship program over these last 3 seasons, but he's definitely having his coming out party with the Orange in the ACC. Syracuse also has an excellent running back in LaQuint Allen, although he's had only limited stats this year on the ground because Syracuse does not have a great offensive line this year. Again, that means maybe the Wolfpack has something to exploit. Syracuse is not nearly as strong on defense. Now, that means it's up to the true freshman quarterback, C.J. Bailey, to keep the chains moving and keep McCord and that Syracuse offense off the field as much as possible. Everyone has seen by now the scary-looking play from last week where the Wolfpack starter, once again, Grayson McCall, his helmet popped off during a collision with 3 Wake Forest tacklers. McCall was temporarily unconscious on the field. It was really scary video. His teammates were waving for the medical staff to come on the field, even as Wake Forest was returning the fumble to the other side of the field. It was a scary scene. McCall had to be taken to the local hospital. The doctors there apparently cleared McCord fairly quickly. But remember, this is the same guy whose season ended prematurely last year at Coastal Carolina because of a concussion, and who missed time with the Wolfpack earlier this season after another head injury. State's offense did make some strides against Wake last week, with Bailey throwing for 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. But the Wolfpack O-line and running game just have not been very good this year, and that needs to change if the Pack is going to knock off Syracuse as a home underdog this week. Again, is it a possible path to an upset? Yes. Would I bet on any of those 3 in-state home underdogs? No.
All right, let's wrap up this segment by you giving us maybe a game involving at least one in-state team that's worth more of a brief mention this week, and why do you think that?
Yeah, well, 5-1 Duke and 3-3 Charlotte and 3-3 ECU are all off this week. We'll actually talk about Pirates head coach Mike Houston a little bit later. So the only answer to this closing question is App State's trip to Louisiana. The Mountaineers are 2-3. All 3 of those losses have been by very wide margins, mainly because their defense just can't get off the field. And now they have to play one of the best teams in the Sun Belt Conference at their place. The Ragin' Cajuns are 4-1. They beat Wake Forest in Winston-Salem earlier this season. Their only loss is to a really impressive Tulane team. So App State is a 10-point underdog in this one. The Mountaineers must look at this as an opportunity to shock the world and get their season back on track. But that definitely will not be easy, even as that is the challenge in front of Coach Sean Clark and his embattled staff right now.
All right, we'll have more of This Week in College Football with David Glenn, presented by the North Carolina Port Council when we come back.